Welcome to the React Block Editor component tutorial. The React Block Editor is a lightweight and highly customizable component designed for building structured content interfaces. It supports block types such as paragraphs, list types, editor menus, and customizations, making it ideal for creating a structured document editor. In this video, I will show you how to add the Syncfusion React Block Editor component to an application. You'll learn how to configure different block types, manage drag and drop, set up toggle blocks for collapsible content, and explore the undo-redo stack to enhance editing flexibility and user experience. Before moving forward, make sure you have installed the latest version of Node.js and React. I'll edit my code using Visual Studio Code and show the output in the Chrome browser. Let's start the application creation process. I open Visual Studio Code and create a React application using the command npx create React app and name my project, My React App. As I want to add TypeScript, I select the template TypeScript option. Now, a React project with all the dependencies is created. Next, let me navigate to the project folder. To use the React Block Editor component, I need to install the component package using the command npm install at syncfusion/ej2reactblockeditor --save. The application is now ready to use. First, I must register the trial license key to use Syncfusion components. I open the index tsx file and import the register license method from the Syncfusion ej2 base package. Using this method, I register the trial license key. To learn how to generate this license key, refer to the link in the description below. The application is now configured to use Syncfusion components. Next, to integrate the block editor, I navigate to the app tsx file and remove the default code. I import the block editor component from Syncfusion ej2 React Block Editor. Inside the return statement, I define the block editor. I provide an ID called block editor, which can be used later to access the instance or apply styles programmatically. I also change the class name to container. To apply styles, I navigate to the app CSS file, remove the default styles, and add necessary CSS references by importing the Fluent 2 themes. Next, I define the properties to align the block editor component. Set the height to 380 pixels, width to 450 pixels, margin left to 400 pixels, and margin top to 50 pixels. This setup is the minimum requirement to render the Syncfusion Block Editor successfully in a React app. I save the changes and run the application using the npm start command. See, the output screen shows the block editor component fully configured in the React application. Next, I will add some content by configuring block and list types, which define how content is structured in the editor. The editor uses basic paragraphs by default, but I'll show you how to configure custom block types for richer content. Syncfusion Block Editor supports different block and list types like paragraph, heading level from 1 to 4, checklist, bullet list, quote, and more. To define the content inside the editor block, I first need to import the block model and content type module from the Syncfusion ej2 React Block Editor package. Now, I'm going to add initial content to make it more interactive. I'll define a constant blocks data, typed as an array of block model objects. Block types are used to show the editor's flexibility. I add a heading block with the font level 3 and text main document title. Next, I add a paragraph block with a sample text. Then, I add a bullet list block with a single bullet point. Finally, I add a numbered list block by setting the type property to numbered list. These blocks use content type text to define their text content. I'll pass the data array to the editor component by setting its blocks property. On the output screen, the block editor component renders the different block types defined in the code. Next, I'll show you how to manage drag and drop in the block editor component. By default, drag and drop is set to true, but you can disable it by explicitly setting the option to false. To do this, I set the enable drag and drop property to false. Let's see the output. The drag and drop option is disabled. Next, I set the enable drag and drop property to true. The output shows that the blocks can now be dragged and dropped to the desired position. Even multiple blocks can be selected by holding the Control or Command key and dragging the group together. This makes editing user-friendly. Next, I'll configure a collapsible heading. Collapsible heading works like an accordion, allowing users to expand or collapse nested content. To do this, I'll go to the code. I add a block with type collapsible heading to create a toggleable heading. In the content array, I set the heading text to collapsible section using content type text. In the props object, I set level 3 to make it an H3 heading, and I set as expanded true to show the nested content by default. Next, I set the children array containing a paragraph block with sample text. On the output screen, you'll see the collapsible heading with a button to toggle the content. When I click the button, the section expands or collapses. Next is customizing the undo-redo stack. By default, the Syncfusion Block Editor saves up to 30 actions. You can customize this limit using the undo-redo stack property. To achieve this, I add the undo-redo stack property and set the limit to 5. Let's see the output. I'll type numbers 1 through 6 and press Ctrl+Z to undo the changes. You'll notice that the last number 1 isn't removed because I've set the undo stack limit to 5. To retrieve the content, I press Ctrl+Y. Now you can see the numbers have been retrieved. Let's wrap up this video. I've shown you how to add the Syncfusion Block Editor component to a React application, configuring different block types, enabling drag and drop functionality, adding toggle blocks for collapsible content, and setting up the undo-redo stack. If you want to try out the example used in this video, download it from the GitHub link in the description below. I have also shared a link to learn how to obtain a free license key to use our React components through our community license if you are eligible. Thank you for watching this video. If you found it helpful, like and subscribe to our channel.